call me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god.
Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, got a filled up engine. In my thoughts, obsession. I will not stop, no, I'm never second guessing. I got a God complex. Haters love to hate, but I never feel pressed. Got a lot on my plate, but I never get stressed. I'll take all the pressure like I'm acing this test. Tear it up like I'm Jason. I see the world like it's ready for the taking. I see this place like a game I'm playing. Straight to the bank to collect my payments. No negotiations, it's my way, I was born impatient. And like a damn Freemason, I'll run this nation.
You call me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god.
I don't know how to stop. I just go till I drop. Whether it's working or shots, give it all that I got. You can watch me work in my element. Anyone in the way is irrelevant. You wanna cross me, cool, not intelligent. Cause I don't forget shit like an elephant. Go ahead and tempt me, put it on the line and you'll come up empty. If I got time, I'm deadly. Never caught off guard, no, I'm always ready. I got a hand real steady. Look me in the eye and you'll see no hezzy. About to get real messy. I'll put you in a grid 6 feet like Kenny.
You call me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god.
What is good, everyone? It's your boy Reckless Ray, and we are back at it again with another episode of Future Financial Strategies. Special episode, obviously. It's the March 2024 end of month financials where we jump into my personal financial situation, my personal growth. We run the numbers. We track metrics that matter. I track some metrics that don't matter to other people, but it matters to me. Like I've been, for instance, I've been kicking around the idea of getting an EV for my daily driver. I currently have a hybrid for my daily driver. I love that car. But I'm adding up and tallying the gas to see what the cost savings is. And I mean, to be honest, it's looking like that could be a potential play. We could be rolling around with an EV because it only gets really bad weather here for about 2 weeks. And I know that they ran into the thing where they were having issues during the winter, but it doesn't stay that cold here. So it could be advantageous for me because it would cut my consumption, or I guess my fuel cost for what it would cost to charge the EV over that time. And obviously I would have some places where I would have opportunities to, because there's other charging places around here where you can charge for free as well. But like, as far as like using the supercharger exclusively to just fill up, it would be half of the cost of what I'm currently paying per month. Half. I mean, and that's subject to, because like we would have to look at the driving that I'm doing, but yeah, it would be like half the cost of the fuel of my hybrid that I love. So we might be making a shift on that. But what the important thing is, what is tracked changes and or improves. And when you're looking at your finances on a monthly basis, now I'm delving into certain aspects of it on more than a monthly basis. But when you're looking at it on a monthly basis and you have the core, what I'll consider, and this is going to be, I've got to start moving into my prescriptive phase. And the things that I am measuring that are working for me at moving the needle forward, as far as getting towards the space where I am no longer a wage slave, getting to a space to where I am having assets that pay for my living expenses, getting to a space to where I have more control of my time. The metrics that I have zeroed in on that I think are the most important, that are helping me move forward, that I am measuring. I am not measuring how much I'm spending. I am not making sure that I make my coffee instead of going to Starbucks. That was a decision that I made because my coffee is healthier than Starbucks. And now that we've moved away from drinking coffee altogether, we're off the coffee train onto something even healthier. More to come on that. I am controlling some of those expenses, but like if I want something, I just go buy it. I make sure that I have the money to afford it. As far as the toys go, I don't run those on my credit card. I take them out of my in-home banking cash pool. Those of you who've been with me for a while, you know what I'm talking about. Those of you who don't, it's just one of the future financial strategies that I personally use because I like to gamify my finances. And the gist of that is I have an account on my bank. It's my third savings account, or my second savings account. It's checking account, two savings accounts. The second savings account is specifically a pool of money that most people would consider their emergency fund. Now, I look at it as an emergency fund sometimes. Most of the time, I am looking at it as a pool of money that is in-house credit. Anytime I take out of that savings account, I pay myself whatever I took out plus 10%. Every time I pull out of it, I try to pull all of it out so that way I can bulk it back up faster. I do not keep a specific amount in there because it's ever climbing since I actually utilize it from time to time for things. But that's kind of my large purchase pool of money. So like if I go, like when I replace my TV, if I work out a deal that's coming out of that pool of money, I'll pay it back plus 10% to grow the pool. Anytime I don't have a loan out against myself, whenever I get paid, I throw $10 into it, and it's going to be ever expanding. So that pool of money will continue to grow. There's no cap on it, but it is the line of credit that I use with myself to pay for big purchases. I don't put those on my credit cards. Now, the hack here is I'll put it on my daily driver credit card to accrue those points because that pays for trips. But the money comes out of that pool, so it's immediately paid off. I don't pay interest on it. It does not go on my credit card. Daily living expenses go on my credit card. We do have a float. We normally keep it at about $5,000. It's a bull run year. We were going to keep it at $5,000. We are sitting at probably about $6,500 right now. As soon as we get to the next week that we get to, that's a payday week, that is above our threshold metric for the house savings, which is $10,000, which we are back in that spec now. Now, obviously, Bitcoin being volatile, it goes up and down. So when it goes down, we dollar cost average in. We have a little bit that goes in there. We also have budgeted out a certain amount that goes towards the house savings, the front money that we took, because we did use another one of our future financial strategies, which is leveraging our credit. So we have a little bit of a balance left to pay that off, which is paid off early. We spec that out to be paid back within 10 months. During the time period, we were working a lot of overtime. We are going to clear that before 10 months. But the next one that we hit, we're going to knock out that discovered debt. We're getting rid of that. And then we are going to start chunking at the debt pool that we have, because I want all debt gone. I do want to get back to a point to where there is very minimal amount of debt that we're messing with. We're trying to turtle back up. I mean, it's not because things are tumultuous in the macroeconomic view. For me personally, there's less and less volatility on the horizon. I just want to have as much money as possible focused in on growth. And, I really want to get set up. We're getting ready to start looking at the next home purchase, and we're either purchasing another home or we're doing some rehabs to the current existing house hack that we're in to add some more value into that, and we'll push out the home purchase a year and leverage this house plus the additional funds that we get from restarting up that game of saving up $10,000 to get the next opportunity. So that opportunity fund is fully funded. We're starting to look around. We're starting to do a little shopping. We're starting to figure out where we can pull some additional money from, see what kind of properties we can look at in the market. Things are looking great. But let's jump right in to the numbers, because those things are important. So I'm going to jump over here, pull this screen out so that I can see what we're talking about here. So first things first, we look at the DeFi income. How much income did we have coming in last month? Actually, let's talk about the total income last month, because like the other thing that I added in here was the tracking of my W-2 income. Now, I understand a bunch of people talk about net, gross. I only deal with net. I don't care what the gross is because I don't see that money. The money that I actually live on, and this is one of the things where I'm divergent from most people's favorite gurus, is I only worry about the money that I live on, because you can't go get the gross unless you paid no taxes and just opt to pay that at the end of the year, which I don't want to do. So I set up all my stuff. I have my HSA pulled out, my 401k pulled out. I don't count that. I'm not even tracking my 401k with my net worth right now, because that's failure fund money. Also, it just becomes real money after about every 3 years, because we'll be doing an episode on this. I use my work 401k a little bit different than most other people. And some people would say that it's not effective or crazy. For me personally, it's been working at moving the needle forward and getting me towards the goals that I have lined out for myself. And me personally, I don't know anybody who is wealthy that is relying on their 401k. They literally just set that money aside to save taxes. Not that they need it. It's not something that they use. Like they're forced to take distributions. Those of them who are retired on their 401k, most of them have things in place where they're making money forever. And that's just kind of how they live. 401ks are something that's sold to the peasant class, and it is what it is. But the total income for last month was $6,179. Like I said, I am not super rich, but we're eking it up. And as we get into the bull run, as crypto starts to take off, those numbers will change. But one of the things that was interesting, so DeFi income was down a little bit this month. We hit $1,000 last month. This month we only hit $823. Still good. Still making moves, which is awesome. The kicker here, though, it's pretty interesting, because right now, minus the upside growth potential, my traditional financial portfolio is performing from an income basis better than my crypto plays. And this is a first. Never thought it would happen. But as we talked about last week on Guns and Butter, the March crypto roundup, for those of you who aren't stopping in on Guns and Butter, you need to stop in. I mean, definitely take a look at the topic. That's kind of what we try to stay around, but chat lives matter. So the chat dictates the trajectory of the show. Some shows, I mean, actually lately, it's just been me hanging out up there, but I do have an open panel. So people can come up and ask questions, come up and get their thoughts off and talk about the topic and do some reactions to stuff with me. And we kind of let it flow. But I throw the topics up there because that's the overarching thing that we're going to be talking about that night. But at the end of every month, the last week of the month, I do a crypto roundup, which is specifically, we talk crypto. It's Crypto Bros Night. We will sit over there. We'll talk about crypto. We'll talk about coins. I'll pull stuff up and give live assessments. I'll give insight into how I look at picking plays, my thoughts on things. Well, last night we were talking about one of my plays in my traditional finance brokerage account, my play in YBTC. And let me tell you, that is cooking. And I've been talking about it over here before it gets into the passive income, the FIRE movement people, before they start singing how great it is. Remember, your boy Reckless Ray Dinero was on it first and before everyone, because nobody's talking about how great this ETF is. So the dividends for last month collectively, because we'll be moving the position over in my Roth over to fully YBTC as well, because I did it in my active portfolio as a test because I didn't want to screw around with my Roth just in case. But the performance on it and what it's paying, it is cooking. It is cooking, and I love it. So we'll be switching. Both portfolios will be solidly. So my brokerage, my traditional finance, is going to be distinctly and exclusively YBTC for a little while. It'll be a little bit less in my active account than my Roth, because the Roth has a little ways to go before it hits a metric that I want to switch over and start buying into the second position, which will be the position that we're consolidating down in the Roth that we previously consolidated down in the active account of QYLD. I do still love QYLD. It's just crypto, man. Once you start seeing crypto numbers and in your dividends in your traditional portfolio, you got to go all in, especially during the bull run. So I will be raising the flag for YBTC for at minimum the next 12 to 24 months. It is going to be the primary holding in my portfolio, and it will be funding the secondary position in my portfolio moving forward. It is just wild how well it's performed. It surprised me. I looked in there. I was expecting to see $100. My total dividends for the month of March, $368. $281 of that was in my active portfolio, which has 69 shares of YBTC. That is wild. That is wild to me. So now I'm really excited and really hype about my traditional finance portfolio. I think that this, honestly, that's performing so well that I might be diverting the income, the funds that I have, the allocations that I have going to crypto moving forward. Because I'm doing a buy this week. We are going to have some distributions this week to continue in a few positions. I got to figure out where I'm going to park this money, but I am really hard pressed at this point to not just throw everything in the kitchen sink to getting my dividend portfolio stacked out while the getting's good, to get those next positions done. Because as soon as the YBTC position starts kicking off $500 a month, I'm going to start using that dividend to buy QYLD, which is the second position. So I'm super excited about that. And then the W2 is the W2. It is what it is. The next most important thing, obviously, we're breaking down these numbers, we're talking about it, is going to be the metrics that I always look at that have been helping me move this forward, because I'm a big gamify person. I like to know roundabouts where I am and see if I can improve. So we are tracking our net worth, obviously, because that is your collective net worth. Now, in that, I understand that conversation could be a little bit askew if all your net worth is in your house, but the minimum, I would say at this point, less than 50% of my net worth is in my house. And I really don't look to my house as anything but dead money, because I'm not actively HELOCing it yet. I haven't pieced together how I want to do that. And, actually, I might have pieced together how I want to do that. I haven't HELOCed it yet. And most of my net worth is in other assets, which is my in crypto. Most of it's in crypto. So I'd say less than 50% of it. And so like the weight that I swing around, I know where my crypto portfolio is at. And so I do track net worth. That is kind of one of the metrics that I look at. It was one of the ones that I started off with. And this is like the first thing where people were throwing stuff in the face, like your net worth, blah, 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 your net worth. The second thing that I track is savings. Not how, well, I look at how much I saved, but I also look at the savings percentage based on all income that comes in. That includes the crypto and the dividends. Now, the crypto and the dividends are guaranteed. That's 100% reroll for me. All of that goes right back into the pot. I'm building, I look at them as business lines. I am building the business. I reinvest 100%. I don't take anything out. All money in, no money out. But I do like to know how much of a percent, from a percentage standpoint, I've got going back in to building out the foundation that I'm going to be living off of. The other thing that I check is my credit score. I understand that a lot of people say credit doesn't matter. Well, it does for me, because now that we're in the pandemic and you all are paying 11% for car loans and double-digit percentages for your HELOC, and it's just hard to get money out here. I'm getting money 0% for 12 months with like a 4.5% VIG up front that I have to pay with the 4.5% fee. So I get money for 4.5%. And yes, I do pay it off within the windows. Obviously, the Discover, we've already done this once. I've actively used this strategy. This is not me pontificating. This is something that I actually did. I took out a cash advance from my Discover credit card for $4,000 that we were going to pay back over 10 months. We are already about to pay it back because I don't carry debt that long. I am financially responsible. That's the reason I say I'd love to have this conversation with your cash is king gurus, any of them, because the math just doesn't math. Because I got front running money that I actually could have paid that loan back over the cut of it that I put into Bitcoin because it's gone up so much. But we paid back with dollars, and the dollars that I paid back with in this calendar year when I started the loan, when I originally started the loan, those dollars that I'm paying it back with out of my check are worth less than the dollars that I used to buy the Bitcoin and get my QQQ position and set the cash aside for the next property. Strategy. I mean, if it works, it works. Math is math. There's no feelings in it. We tested it out. Genius. Now, am I leveraging to the hilt? Did I take a cash advance for the maximum of my credit card? Did I max my card out? No. If I had, would it have been a good play? Absolutely. But we don't do that. We tasteful leverage. Because then if something did go wrong, then I would be in a bad spot. Also, I wouldn't have been able to pay the maximum on that credit card back, guaranteed, if I had utilized all of my credit. Like, there just wouldn't have been a way for me to do that. And if Bitcoin didn't go up, then I would have had nothing on the back end to help pay that off. But it's working. The strategy is working the way that I am doing it. I'm not advocating for maxing out your credit cards. I don't max out my credit cards. That's the reason when I took the loan out, my credit only took a couple of point hit. Still over 800. But I do need good credit to qualify for those 0% loans, because there was nowhere else that you were getting 4.5% loans, period. I'm getting 4.5% loans. You are not, but they're telling you the credit doesn't matter. Well, the way that I use it, it does, because that allows us to front run and get assets ahead of time at the beginning, allows us to expand our wealth faster. So we track credit. I also track the total collective amount that I save for the month. I do like to look at that because I like to know how much money I'm getting going into spaces where it's going to be utilized. And so, you know, looking at it from that perspective, it's always pretty interesting because this fluctuates from month to month, and it's interesting to see where I look at where it's going. So for instance, so I'll give you the numbers, then we'll break these down as we go. So first of all, the net worth increased $3,170.74 this month. Crypto's up, floating up, volatility up. We also got some income. The portfolios are growing. Always good. Always good. So the net worth is going in the direction we want. I understand not every month is going to be a positive month, especially since most of my wealth is in crypto. Until we balance that out, we're gonna keep it. It's going to be volatile. It'll change from month to month. Over the next 12 to 24 months, I am expecting to see more positive months than negative months. Savings rate, we are at 39.86%. Now, we did bounce up to 750. We got up to over, hold on, actually, I can look. What was last month? Last month, we were at 57.8%. So this month, we had stuff to take care of. We're trying to make some moves. We cleared some debts within the crypto space. We've eliminated the leverage over there. We saved a little bit. We just saved less money. I mean, 39% is still great considering most of y'all are struggling to save 10%. You guys aren't even getting to the 20%. I mean, I don't know. My goal, though, is to get to 45 to 50%. That's where I want to be. I think that's going to be the sweet spot for me. So we fell a little bit short this month. We'll see what next month looks like. Credit went up 1 point. We are at 811 or 810. I always take the lowest number. Credit scores at 810. Not bad at all. No complaints there. I mean, obviously, as long as we are above 780, I don't care. But lately, it's just been above 800, which is nice. It's nice. Can't complain about that. Total amount saved, $2,463. Not bad. Not bad. Not complaining. Doing what we can with what we got. Obviously, we ain't rich yet. And I understand that some of these numbers would be considered mediocre or nonsensical. But the funny thing is, it's all relative. So if I don't have to go to work, then I don't have to go to work. I don't have to meet the standards of Jeff Bezos because he all have to go to work, but he does. And I'm just trying to get to the point to where my stuff's taken care of. My household is secure. And hopefully those of you who watch the show will take those cues because I want you to be in a state to where you get to do what you want to do. Now, me personally, I've told everybody, my goal in all this is not to stop working. So there will be no point where I don't have something else going on. Like I have to be doing something. That's just my nature. It's how I'm wired. It's what I want to do. I find joy in it. I am happy doing it. Do I want to do exactly what I'm doing now? I don't know. That's the question. But I would like to be in a space to where I can go, I can sit and think about this. I can actually break this down and figure out if it's more advantageous for me to place my talents elsewhere or go pursue something else that I see as being more valuable at this point. And that's going to be the be all end of it for me, because I don't see a lot of people who are aiming to not work. Everyone I know who I personally know who is wealthy works a lot. They all work. None of them are not working, and they're all older than me. They're just not, doing necessarily manual labor and destroying their bodies consistently. But they're all working on stuff. Like I don't see wealthy men who I would look up to as a standard. That's somebody that I'm like, hey, I want to be like you when I grow up. That doesn't work. I don't see these guys that are just upstanding citizens, model men that other men look up to that don't work. Including the people who are at the upper echelons that we reference all the time. Bezos works a lot. Obviously, we see him on his yacht sometimes, but he also works. He's working on things. Elon Musk also working on things. Their end goal was not to just lay up on a beach. I think that's why most people who set out on this journey don't actually achieve it. And I honestly believe that most of the people who are advocating that lifestyle on these platforms are lying, because they're actively working by uploading content for you to consume to make you think that you don't want to go work all the time. You're not going to go to work anymore. They're working really hard. YouTube is hard. This is hard. Like you have to make the video. You got to make the thumbnail. You got to take the time out of your day. You got to sit down. You got to put this bright light on you that's hot. You have to talk. You have to think while you're talking. You have to be quick on your feet, doing panels, getting your name out there. It's work. This is also work. It's a form of work. So my goal isn't to not work. My goal is to be in position to where my core expenses are taken care of. Actually, I'm going to do a video on on how I break down my core expenses. We're going to do that too. My core expenses are taken care of, and I have the ability to take extended vacation should I want to. Like if I want to go be somewhere for a month, I want to be able to do that. And I don't want to have to worry about somebody being like, oh, well, I'll fire you, but like I don't need this job anyways. I was just coming here for something to do. I'll get another job when I get back. If I want to. I want to be able to go work on things that maybe don't pay as much as what I would need to cover my expenses. Maybe I want to go build pole barns somewhere and do something like that while I can and experience different culture and, contribute and give back. But how are you going to do that and live? Maybe I want to be able to, help people, provide some like in-depth mentorship, something like that maybe won't pay as much as what I'm making right now. Maybe I want to do that. Maybe I want to do financial strategy and consulting for businesses. Maybe I want to do that. And maybe starting that up is going to take a few months of no income. There's a lot of things that you can do once your core needs are met that you can't do while you're living hand to mouth in the rat race and grinding to keep the lights on. Because I'm not going to advocate for anyone to go chase their dreams at the expense of living a semi-comfortable life. And I see a lot of people do that. I come from a community, specifically the dance community, where a lot of people just beat their bodies to death and have nothing to show for it, and then sit online and argue about how they used to have clout and people don't respect them now. And they're broke. It sounds terrible. It sounds terrible. You got like a few good years of some good stories and like that's all. That's it. Like that was never going to be enough for me. And I still actively train and still actively dance. But it's not worth. That is the trade-off for trying to do that as a career. From what I've seen, I don't know any rich dancers. I don't know any wealthy dancers. Period. Now, I do know some really cute dancer chicks that put themselves in position that are active dancers and they got rich boyfriends and or husbands. And so that's where the stability comes from. But, being a full-time commodity, like once you start having to do it for work also, it's not necessarily as fun because you have to do it. Again, you gotta keep the roof over your head, and you got to do it a whole lot because like you don't necessarily get paid consistently enough to do things. Also, you don't have insurance. It's crazy. Like I don't know. There's just a bunch of things that inhibit that for the amount of dedication and time that people put into things. I mean, you could say the same thing. Social workers, same thing. Underpaid, underappreciated, and I don't know any rich ones. It's just not, and that's not to say that being rich is the end goal, but like, as we know, for those of you who haven't been over here, who are not familiar with my content, I view money as tools and opportunity. The less money you have, the less opportunities you have. It's just facts. So to do something that's incredibly hard or hard on your body or hard on you mentally and to not be compensated appropriately for that is a lose-lose in my opinion, because now you have less opportunity. You're sore, you're mentally drained, and you also don't have the opportunity to do any of the stuff you want to do if you want to do it, unless it's work related. So we're going to leave it at that. Another good month. 2024 is going to be one of those years. It's going to be one of those years. 2025 is going to be that year, though. 2024, I'm excited about. 2025, elated about. It's like, just stay alive. You've won. That's where I'm at right now. but we're going to keep documenting the journey, because once we're mountain topping, it's going to be a little bit different. But like, you guys are going to see how I'm moving, and then all that's going to happen is this is just going to expand out as the wealth increases. So we'll be building a foundation. We'll have a bunch of tools at our disposal, and then we'll just be able to use them on a larger scale, which I am very much excited about. A little bit of money goes a long way at being able to seize opportunities, and obviously the more money you have coming in, the more opportunities you have. So kind of stacks on itself. It's a snowball effect, if you would. But until next week, it's your boy Reckless Ray Dinero, and we out. Peace.